Hey everyone, Tony Walsh here, and welcome back to Walsh Farms. Over the ages, there have been multiple 7 wonders of whatever lists. The 7 wonders of the world, or the ancient world, is the most popular. But over time, others started making their own lists, which include such names as the wonders of the Middle Ages. In 1994, the American Society of Civil Engineers compiled a list called the 7 Wonders of the Modern World. And those lists paid tribute to the greatest civil engineering achievements of the 20th century. In November 2006, USA Today, along with the TV show Good Morning America, created a list of new 7 wonders, both natural and man-made. Other countries and groups have made other lists to suit their needs and their interests, and today I'm going to start a new series or a playlist entitled The 7 Wonders of Georgia. Now, the first wonder I'm going to share with you is Warm Springs. That's Warm Springs, Georgia. See, Warm Springs was made famous throughout the years because of the naturally heated freshwater springs. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt bathed in these warm springs, which relieved some of his polio symptoms. He fell so in love with the Georgia spring that he built a house here nicknamed the Little White House. It's believed that Roosevelt developed the New Deal policies in this little house. Now, the springs are no longer available for bathing by the public, but we can tour them, and we can tour the house. So let's get started. So this plaque here says Franklin D. Roosevelt came to Warm Springs in 1924 in hopes of recovering from the effects of polio. His love for the area and hopes for the Georgia Warm Springs Foundation led him to build a small white clapboard cottage on these pine-scented slopes. The house was completed in 1932 while FDR was serving as governor of New York. During FDR's 4 elected terms as the 32nd president of the cottage became known as the Little White House. It was designed by architect Henry Toombs, who also designed many of the foundation buildings. The cost was $8,738, including landscaping. The cottage, garage, servant quarters, and guest house are preserved much like they were on April 12, 1945, when FDR died of a massive stroke as he was sitting for a portrait. The unfinished portrait and many of FDR's personal belongings can be seen in the cottage and in an adjacent museum. During the busy years between 1932 and 1945, FDR only visited his beloved Little White House on 16 occasions while he and the nation struggled through the Great Depression of 1929 and then World War II. Many of the solutions to the people's problems that beset the nation during his presidency came to FDR as a result of his association with the people of this area. As many of our forefathers, FDR was a Mason. You can see there by the symbol at the top. And here's this quote that says, "The more I come in contact with the work of the Masonic fraternity, the more impressed I am by the great charitable work and great practical good which we are carrying out, especially in the line which is so close to my heart, the care of the little children." November 7th, 1935. And here it says Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States of America, 1933 to 1945. Brother Franklin Delano Roosevelt, born at Hyde Park, New York, January 30th, 1882. Holland Lodge Number 8, Free and Accepted Masons, New York. Entered apprentice degree October 10th, 1911. Fellowcraft degree November 14th, 1911. Master Mason degree November 28th, 1911. Appointed Grand Representative of the Grand Lodge of Georgia near the Grand Lodge of New York, September 22nd, 1930. Master of the Royal Secret Scottish Rite, Valley of Albany, Orient of New York, February 28th, 1929. Ancient Arabic Order Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, Cypress Temple, Albany, New York, April 26, 1930. Dedicated by the Grand Lodge of Georgia, Free and Accepted Masons in honor of the 100th anniversary of the initiation of Brother Franklin Delano Roosevelt, October 1st, 2011. Okay, and this plaque says the Little White House, Warm Springs, Georgia, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Warm Springs Memorial Commission, created by legislative act of the Georgia Assembly on January 31st, 1946. To this commission is entrusted the duty and responsibility of transforming the Little White House and environs into a memorial to the late Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose death occurred here on April 12, 1945. Roster of original members: Basil O'Connor, Honorary Chairman; Ivan Allen, Chairman; G. Clarence Thompson, Vice Chairman, W.S. Allen, J.J. Baggett, Casey J. Calloway, Lawrence S. Camp, R. Eve, Mr. John Geary, Miss Lucy R. Mason, N. Baxter Maddox, L.J. Moore, R. Carter Pittman, H.G. Ray, W. Fred Scott Jr., Max L. Segal, Earl Staples, Thomas W. Starlin, and Lee S. Trimble, the Secretary-Treasurer. Okay, this building here says the entrance building, and to the right is the gift shop, to the left is the admissions, and we'll go into the gift shop first. Okay, so we're in the typical gift shop. Go around the employee here to where we don't see her. Of course, you see Jackie there. Yep. So just got the standard different type clothing you can get. So this one's like Roosevelt's Little White House. Just different shirts and hats and sweaters. Different things you can buy here. Candies. Different assortment of nuts here. Jackie's stuck on the cookbooks. She's been standing here for 5 minutes looking at the different cookbooks. I guess them are soaps. Yep, soaps. All sorts of different books to read if you're interested in that sort of stuff. Got glassware, coffee cups, more candies and stuff there. Cards, books. I thought this was interesting. They're titled Back in the Day, so you can see from 1960, 72, 73, they just all go down, so you can get whatever year interests you and see what was important in that year. More books. These shells were interesting, and they're actually a thermos type thing. The bullet here screws off and you can pour your liquid inside of it. And just different models and toys. Got some keychains, more t-shirts, more books to read. There's some toys. And this is a Georgia State Park. So, see the little truck there that says Georgia Park Ranger. Little Park Ranger dog. More hats. And more hats. More books. More books. Postcards. And a poster of the presidents of the United States that ended with President Trump, and then First Ladies of the United States, and it does have First Lady Jill Biden at the end. So it starts with Martha Washington, ends with Jill Biden. And this one starts with George Washington and ends with President Trump. So that's the tour of the gift shop. One thing I forgot to show was their what we call canned goods, but they must be processed somewhere because they're not the normal canning lid for that. But got apple butter, apple walnut butter, sweet potato butter. Now that's interesting. I've never heard of sweet potato butter and sweet potato pecans. So just all sorts of different stuff there. Sauerkraut, and I love sauerkraut. John's got into eating quail eggs, so I haven't tried the quail eggs yet. Just all sorts of different stuff here. Pickles and peppers. And some peach salsa. Apple salsa. Okay, so now we're at the presidential site. So here's just a map of the facility. And you can see, where did we come in at? This is where we come in right here. So I just showed you the museum, some stuff from the museum. Of course, we started in the gift shop, so we're here now. We're going to circle around to Mustian Place, then come around to the guest cottage, the servant's cottage, and then to the little White House. So let's get moving. This is hilly country right here. So for a man that had polio, it made it that much more difficult for him to move around. You can see there's a row of flags here, and at each flag there's a marker. And I'm not going to stop and read every one of them. We'll just stop and see this. It's the Flags and Stones of America. And it says State Stones is a tribute to President Franklin Roosevelt. Each of the 50 states in the District of Columbia contributed a specimen of native stone for a memorial of beautiful in color, finish, and design. There are many different varieties of stone. This collection was completed in 1959. So some of them you can see are in the shape of the state or just a different shape. Some are, I'm sorry if I have any viewers in Alaska, y'all's is just plain and drab. So here's the view. As you can see, we're still walking uphill. That boy's got to catch his breath. So I'll bring you back when we get to the top. Okay, here in this stone says this museum was dedicated April 12, 1961 by S. Ernest Vandiver Vanderveer, Governor of Georgia. And here's the informational board. This is Miss Georgia, Miss Dean Wilkins. So this is called Mustian Place. And it's chained off, so we can't go inside. But it says the Franklin D. Roosevelt Museum. So this must have been maybe the original museum before they built the one that we just come out of right down through there on the other side of the trees. Okay, here's the stone from Georgia. Of course, nothing written on it, but it is shaped like the state of Georgia. But the plaque here on the sidewalk says it's Georgia pink marble, fourth state to enter the Union on January 2nd, 1788. And it says wisdom, justice, and moderation. And those words are written on the Georgia state seal. Okay, you can see Jackie down there. She's already beat me down to the wishing well. And these are steps here, so it's not a ramp, so excuse the bumping up and down as I take the steps. Of course, and it's murky, mucky water because the pumps aren't running. You can see people throw change in there, and then I'm assuming the change is what helps keep the site here running. And there is a plaque over here, so let me get over to the plaque. It says, erected to the memory of our great president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, by Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence Wood Robert Jr., 1959. Okay, leaving the wishing well, we got a building there. I don't see any signage for it. But this one here says Marine Corps Sentry Post. And this one over here says United States Secret Service Sentry Post. And here's what they call the bump gate. Don't know why it's called the bump gate. May have to research that in the future. Oh, because it's on a, Jackie says it's on a swivel right there. So when it's closed, you just bump it and it opens up. I'll never hear the end of it now. So you can see this sign says this way to the little White House, and it's directing us around here to the right. I'm left-handed and I like to go the left, but the signs are telling me to go to the right. So just some stone features right here, no signage, so it just must be something native to the property. And we're coming up to this house, and this is the servants' quarters right here. So here it talks about Lizzie McDuffie, who was the essential housekeeper. Daisy McAfee Bonner, who was the queen of the larder. Irvin McDuffie, who was the president's indispensable valet. And here's just some wording from the president himself. So let's go inside the servants' quarters. So it says caution low ceiling. Little closet here to the left. See restroom right here. Can't walk in the room, so they got glass doors, but there would have been double bed here. It's an old potbelly stove here. And then this sign here talks about the servants' quarters. And another bedroom here. And this would be the sitting room. Go back to the top of the stairs and pan this for you. And that's all to the servants' quarters. Okay, here you can see the sign for this flag up here. It says it's a 48-star flag, and it was the typical flag that was flown on April 12th, 1945. So let's move over here to the guest house. Doors open, so that means we can go in. You can hear the landscapers working in the background. So we walk in. This guest house is built in 1933. Walk in, this could be almost a sitting room and a spare bedroom if needed to. Walk in, this room has 2 single beds, and around the corner is another room back there, but we can't go back there to see what's in it. Okay, the landscapers, you see Jackie walking there, but the landscapers are working here, so I can't help them with their their leaf blower. They have a job to do, so I'm not gonna ask them to stop. But here is the little White House, and I'll get up there and read that stone marker to you. Okay, so we've entered the little White House. And as you come into the foyer, just a chest of drawers and a couple of chairs, some photos on the wall. Walk in, I guess this is Mrs. Roosevelt's china. This has the butler's pantry. So looks like just everyday dishes that they used. Then walking in here would be to the kitchen. See a tea kettle, a toaster. Trying to see a year on it. Don't see a year, but it says from Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is not far from where I was born. That's one of those fancy dishes there. Countertop, sink. Guess flour, sugar, and other condiments go there. That there says ice water was kept here for the Secret Service agents. They got the old-timey bug zappers here. And that's just the back side of the butler's pantry there. And here is the stove and oven. They don't want us touching it, so I can't open the oven, but you can see it's a 4-burner stove. I'm guessing at the time gas operated. Made by Westinghouse. And I guess that's how you control the temperature to it right there. This here is the president's sitting room. You can see a sofa there with all of his books, fireplace, little desk, and then here's the sign for it. And then over here to the other side is the dining room. See a little fold-out table right there, but then there's a 6-person table here. And an old record player. Okay, we've exited out the back door onto the patio. And this sign says the secretary's bedroom. So what secretary? I guess that's his personal secretary. See an old-time switchboard right there for communications. Single bed. I know you may not be able to see through the glare, but a wheelchair sitting back there. But here's the hallway that it went to the back of the living room, so that's how you access this bedroom. And then you can see this porch here with an arched half-circle fence. And I don't know what view President Roosevelt would have seen back then, but this is the view you see today. Of course, and there's a Marine Corps sentry post there. So that's the view from today. And you can see that is a sharp drop off there. Okay, from the porch we're coming to the president's bedroom, and it says visit the secretary's room first. I'm assuming that was for us and not him. And then here's his bedroom. Again, the sign not want us to touch, so I see a single bed, dresser chair, nightstand, got his hat, little desk here. Says it was donated by the CWA workers of Fitchburg, Massachusetts on January 30th, 1934. Picture frames with no pictures, so now they're just mirrors. And stepping into his restroom, sink, commode, old bathtub, old clawfoot bathtub. Nope, that one's not a clawfoot. It's got a just elevated. And I'm assuming that is an old roll of toilet tissue. And this is Mrs. Roosevelt's bedroom. 2 beds in it. Just for her and the children. It's a tablecloth, and again, I probably can't see much because of the glare. And I guess a linen closet here. And it's telling us to go outside. So we're back out the other front door. Now let me read this stone marker. It says Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, died in this house on April 12, 1945. No soldier gave more on any battlefield than he who here gave us his life for his country. No greater martyr ever served the cause of freedom. This tablet erected June 25, 1947 by the presidential electors who in 1944 chose him President of the United States for his 4th term. Okay, here we're coming up on the back side of the gift shop, and this building is known as the Legacy Exhibit. Okay, we're here at the historic Warm Springs treatment pools, and I'm not going to read this sign to you. You can probably Google it and see what it says. Let's step inside and see what the treatment pools look like. They did tell us they were not operating because of a leak. So, but we'll still go inside and look and see what they look like.
FDR's life, and it changed our lives too. Yeah. That's all he did after that. Getting polio at 39, thought everything was over. Comes here, changes his attitude, hope restored in his life. He didn't cure him, but it did something. And he went on from there to become governor of New York, elected president 4 times. All he did as president is what changed our lives too. We're still living a lot of that today. So kind of an intro to what you're going to see. And so you folks get on through. I see your brochure with your receipts there, so go ahead and go through. And before you go too much further, when you get done, all the way down at the end is the door to go outside. And the pools are without water because they can't hold water. We have a campaign going. If you want to help contribute to that, take one of these little cards that's on that thing there. It gives you more information. But we're trying to restore the pools. You may have seen that in the news. It's been a program saved life. But you can go down in the center pool, walk down the ramp, and we've got a basin with a spring of water coming up in that. A lot of people buy these little bottles and fill them up with as a souvenir kind of thing. The bottle and the water is free to take their bottles. So go ahead and feel the water and feel that it's just warm water, not hot water.
Okay, so here are the pools. And as I said, they don't have water because of a leak. They're in the middle of a campaign to raise money to fix all this, to get it back running, and I'll leave a link either here or in the description if you feel like donating to something like this. Every little dollar helps, so all of us have a few dollars. Politics aside of whether you believe in President Roosevelt, the dynamics of the Great New Deal, this here gives us a great history of that dreaded disease of polio. So if it weren't for President Roosevelt, no telling where we would be in the eradication and near elimination of that horrific life for some of those patients. Can you imagine? I just showed you iron lung a moment ago. Can you imagine having to live in one of those things most of your life? So I'm asking, chunk a little change towards this cause to get this up and running. Now the gentleman inside did say that that water that is running right there, let me see if I can zoom in, that water running there is the natural spring water, and it stays a temperature of 88 degrees all year round. Regardless of the outside temperature, that is the heated natural spring water from this mountain. So this is the center pool. You see the first one there as we come out. This one here, let me zoom back out where you can see them all. And then a third pool over there. So here you can see all the different bathhouses and places where the people using the pools stayed throughout their treatments here. So inside here, when you come in, they sell little bottles for $3 in tax, but you can actually fill the bottle up. Now I went ahead and run through the tour while Jackie was paying attention to what the tour guide said. So she bought one of the bottles, and we actually get to put some of this water in that bottle and take it home with us. So you just dip it in the water. The water warm?
Yeah, I mean, it's not considered what I call mild warm.
So we're going to fill the bottle with water. And the gentleman said if we would take it home, by then the bottle would be dry. Take the cap off and put clear fingernail polish around it. Then put the cap back on. That would keep the water from evaporating, and it's got a little spot on the label for you to write the date down. So from time to time I may bring you back and let's look at this bottle and see if the water's still there or not. But Jackie says the water is warm. It's not warm enough to take a bath in it, but it's warm. Of course, if there were thousands of gallons of water, it would probably stay warm. Okay, everyone, that's the end of this 7 Wonders of Georgia, the first installment of it from Warm Springs, Georgia, the Roosevelt Little White House. I hope you enjoyed something and got something out of it. And if you're ever in this part of Georgia, don't pass this place up. There's a lot of historical value to it. Just think about where this country would be if it weren't for this little place here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're viewing it and not a subscriber, check our channel out. Consider subscribing to it. But until the next time, y'all take care and God bless.